Vista Gold is a Colorado-based gold project company, and Fred Earnest, the CEO, joins me here at the 2018 Spratt Natural Resources Symposium. Fred, great to have you here.
Remy, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, I want to start out by looking at one of your projects in Australia, the Mount Todd. So could you tell me about the infrastructure as well as the exploration upside?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is a brownfield site. It was operated in the 1990s. And as a result of that, we enjoy paved roads to the site, power lines to the site, a natural gas pipeline, a tailings impoundment facility that has capacity for the first 87 million tons of material that we'll process in the project, as well as a freshwater storage reservoir. And so, you know, that's a tremendous advantage for us. The natural gas pipeline, perhaps more than any other thing, in that power is expensive in the Northern Territory, about 31 cents a kilowatt hour. With the power plant that we plan to build as part of the project, we can generate power for about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. So, tremendous advantage. The exploration potential, all of the resources and reserves that we report for Mount Todd are located inside the boundaries of the mining license. In addition, we have 1,100 square kilometers of exploration licenses. We're at the south end of the Pine Creek geosyncline, a gold district that's produced over 1 million ounces over a long period of time. And we're just starting to scratch the surface with the exploration work out on the ELs. We've really just been focused on building the project to date, and we're just starting to develop targets and to put money into drilling out on the ELs.
Well, you mentioned scratching the surface, so could you tell me a little bit about the technologies that are being utilized?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like many others, you know, we go out and we do regional mapping. One of the things about Australia is that much of the country is covered in sediments, and so we don't have a lot of fresh rock, unlike other places in the world, to look at. And so we're looking at, you know, we map, we take soil samples, we do you know, geochemical analysis, where we start to get a sniff of one thing or another. You know, we go back out, we close up our soil sampling, we'll come in and do geophysical work, and ultimately that leads to drilling, and we're finally getting to that point where we have some targets that we're prepared to put some money into some drill holes.
And Fred, of course, this requires a lot of technical expertise, so could you tell me about the team behind Vista Gold, including management?
Oh, absolutely. You know, let's just start at the project. Peter Harris is our exploration manager. He's spent almost all of his career working in the gold space. He spent much of it working in the Northern Territory. Very familiar with the district that we're in, and it has just a lot of ideas. He's got several gold discoveries to his credit, and he's really keen on Northern Territory gold exploration. Brent Murdoch is our general manager. He's the guy that drives a lot of the work on site. Brent came to us from a large iron ore construction project where he was part of the construction management team for a $5 billion build, and so he's got the experience and the expertise in building projects and managing contractors. He happens to be a Northern Territorian, and that's a great asset for us, having someone that knows the people, gets along well. You know, above that, you know, you start getting to the Denver team. John Rosell is our senior vice president, economic geologist by training. John has been involved in the analysis, evaluation of over 100 gold projects throughout the world. But John does a phenomenal job of managing projects, and he's the one that's pushed all over the technical side of our developing the Mount Todd project, with an array of consultants and support from me and the board. Jack Engel is our CFO, a mining CFO. I mean, cut his teeth in the mining industry. He's been in the mining industry with various different companies, and understands what it takes to finance projects. And I'm a mining engineer who's spent his career in various parts of North and South America, and been involved in the construction and the turnaround of projects that have been struggling. And what our team really does well, we don't pretend to be world-class explorationists. You know, that's not what Vista is, but we're a very solid, technically oriented team that understands what it takes to build mines, and to make them run the way they're supposed to.
And Fred, when I was looking at Vista Gold, one thing that stood out is the dual listing. So that is an advantage, but could you tell me about the capital structure of the company as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as you mentioned, we trade on the NYSE American and also the TSX. About 90% of our trading happens on the American exchange. We have just under 100 million shares issued and outstanding. And you know, compared to some of our peers, that's a pretty small number. We've been very careful and cautious with our capital. We don't go to the market very often, and when we do, we try to be very careful with trying to maximize the benefit that we get from the expenditure of that money.
And it is a challenging environment, so that does make sense. Now, I do want to hear about your other assets overseas, including Mexico as well as Indonesia. So could you tell me a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Mexico project is the Guadalupe de los Reyes project. It's a project that we now have under option. Minera Alamos has optioned that project, and they're working to advance it, and they have a couple of option payments left to make. The Indonesian project is the Awak Mas project. Several years ago, we allowed ourselves to get diluted down to a royalty interest, and we're pleased with the work that Nusantara is doing to advance the project. They're working to form a partnership with an Indonesian company, and they've announced results of their feasibility study. And we're hopeful that as they move forward, that next year will be a big year with perhaps financing and the start of construction there. But our focus is really the Mount Todd project.
Okay, well, Fred, last but not least, before I let you go, you've attended the Spratt Natural Symposium for a long time, and although there have been a couple years where you haven't attended, you're back this year. So give me your assessment of the sentiment out there after speaking with exhibitors as well as other attendees.
Well, you know, it's a challenging gold environment. You know, the gold dropping down to below 1220 today. It's rebounded. I think that there's a lot of the investors that have come to this conference that are looking for opportunities, and certainly low gold prices creates that kind of opportunity. I think that we represent a phenomenal opportunity for those who are willing to do their homework and look at things. It's a challenging industry, and we all need to be patient, and there's going to be the ups and the downs, but I think that the people who have spent the money to come to the conference recognize that and understand that, and we're hopeful that they'll take a long, serious look at Vista Gold.
Okay, Fred. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for shedding light on your company today.
Well, very good. Thank you, Remy.